Hi guys! Today we continue our journey to master cornering and become 2 times safer riders. Statistically, around half of motorcycle crashes happen in corners, so improving this skill is crucial for our safety. This is the second video in our little series, and there are several more to come, so remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell button to receive notifications about new videos. Today's topic will be our vision and how we can use it correctly to vastly improve our confidence and safety in corners. You already may have heard an expression: always look where you want to go, your bike always follows your vision. And though this is perfectly valid advice for a complete beginner, it is severely oversimplified. Eventually, we will have to move on from it and dive deeper into how exactly our vision works when we are riding a bike, and how we can use it efficiently to avoid becoming a statistic on the road. And this is exactly what we are going to do in this video. Alright, your bike goes where you look mantra is an oversimplification. It is quite obvious that our bike doesn't have any idea where we're looking at, so it can't go where we look by itself. But if that's the case, why almost every course and every instructor makes such a big deal of it? There has to be at least some truth to it, right? Though your bike goes where you look is an oversimplification, our vision is in fact a very important thing for a rider. Human vision is surprisingly good at detecting objects, and it allows us to very reliably estimate position and speed of those objects relative to us, which is exactly what we need while driving a car or riding a bike. A large part of why our vision is so good at motion and speed perception is our binocular vision. We have 2 eyes not just because we want to have a spare one just in case, but because each of our eyes have a different perspective from each other. Each one takes its own separate image, and then our brain combines these images to create a 3D view, allowing us to judge distances accurately. This fact leads us to our first important conclusion. In order to maximize our ability to judge speed and direction of everything on our path, we must look at said path square on, like this. It's especially important in corners. We can't just side-eye our line through a corner like this. As you can see, even if both my eyes are open, by side glancing I am pretty much using only my one eye, thus losing all the depth perception. I can no longer judge my speed and direction correctly. I have to turn my head to face the direction of a turn in order to do that. This is why look where you want to go is such a big deal. Just the simple fact that we face our intended direction of travel makes a huge difference, because we gain our depth perception. Unfortunately, for a new rider, this is not a very intuitive thing to do. Human brain, by default, is not accustomed to typical road speeds. Normally it handles walking or running, so it's like 15 km per hour, give or take. When we are running at 15 km per hour, there is no big reason for us to look, let's say, 100 meters ahead. We will be there in about 25 seconds. It makes much more sense to look much closer and down, so we don't accidentally trip over something on the road. On the other hand, on our bike, even if we are going at a moderate 90 km per hour, we will travel the same 100 meters in just 4 seconds, and it is easily possible to go much faster than that. So, looking closer and down is not an option anymore. When we just start riding, we have to make a conscious decision to look much further down the road than our initial instinct tells us to do. By looking further down the road, in corners in particular, we instantly improve our riding by a huge amount, just because our brain starts to absorb much more information, which then it uses to steer the bike more efficiently. We can even directly observe this effect with some beginner riders. Look at this example. As you can see, the rider here constantly steers and changes the lean angle of his bike during the corner. This phenomenon is called 50 pensing, because if we ride this way, our line through a corner will resemble an English 50 pence coin, because our bike will constantly change the turning radius. This 50 pensing happens because our rider doesn't look deep enough into a corner. So his brain constantly has to recontemplate and readjust the line, hence all this unnecessary wobbling. If we look far into the corner, we will have much less need to readjust our line, and it will start to resemble our perfect line from our last video. Okay, great. We must look further into the corner. But what exactly should we look for? Since we already mentioned lines again, let's recall what we were talking about in the last video, specifically about the line which we take through corners on public roads. We were slowing down, entering the corner from the outside and stayed outside until we saw the exit. After that, we could bring our bike upright and accelerate. So, how do we judge correctly how much we need to slow down and when exactly we can tell that our corner opens up? We can do it using a so-called limit point. It's the furthest point on the road which we can see. It's the point where the left and right edges of the road appear to merge. Obviously, when we are in a straight line, this point goes to infinity, since the straight line can be presented as a curve with indefinitely big radius. But as soon as we approach a corner, we can see that at some point two sides of the road join together, producing our limit point. This point moves as we approach and go through the corner. If the limit point is coming closer to us, it suggests that the corner is tightening and we need to slow down. If the limit point is moving away, it indicates that the road ahead is opening up and we can maintain or increase our speed. Despite its simplicity, the limit point is a very powerful concept for street cornering. Once we get into a habit of using it, it automatically solves a huge amount of our problems in corners. We will never have to think again, oh, am I going a bit fast? Will I be able to make it? As soon as we get accustomed to using the limit point, we will instantly corner with more confidence and safety at the same time. We will talk about the limit point more in the next video, when we will start discussing braking mid-corner. It also will be relevant. For now, let's move on to other matters with our vision. Obviously, we have more things to worry about than just our limit point. We still have to watch for road conditions, oncoming vehicles, sand, potholes, etc. We have to account for all this stuff and adjust our ideal line accordingly. For all those things, we can use a combination of our main and peripheral vision. Our main vision is great. Everything is in focus, we can clearly see what we are looking at, but at the same time it has a pretty narrow field of view. The rest of our field of view is our peripheral vision, which gives us only the general idea of what's around us, but is out of focus. For example, if we take any text and focus on some part of it, we will be able to read only the words which happen to be in this focused area. This is our main vision. At the same time, we can see there is also some text on the rest of the page, but without moving our focus we can't read it. This is our peripheral vision. Although our peripheral vision is pretty crappy when we need to make out any details of the object we are looking at, on the other hand, it is very good at detecting movement. What normally happens when we are riding is our peripheral vision detects something and then our main vision immediately jumps there to see what it is and is it dangerous. And at this moment we can fall into another trap which happens due to our instincts. We can experience a so-called target fixation. Target fixation is a phenomenon where a rider becomes so focused on object or obstacle that he inadvertently steers towards it and subsequently collides. There are tons of examples of this mistake on YouTube, and here is one of them. Here we have a left turn. By the way, check out the limit point here, it's coming closer and closer to us, so we have to slow down. At some point, our rider notices this barrier here, target fixates on it and steers straight into it. This happens because once our vision locks on something like this, our brain can only steer into this object, because it can't see any way around it. Target fixation is a very strong instinct. For example, even On our courses, we constantly see our students doing turns, circles and figure eights no problem, but once you make them do the same thing but inside a bunch of cones, they instantly start focusing on cones and collide with them. That's why we spend a lot of time and effort to rewire our brain, so to speak, and train our peripheral vision to a great extent, so we can rely on it enough that we can move our main vision back to our intended line through a corner. In this example, what should have happened is our rider would see the barrier, but then move his vision back to the road ahead and proceed watching the barrier only with peripheral vision. Unfortunately, it is very hard to do without previous training, which is exactly the reason why we are doing all those exercises to improve our peripheral vision. We must be able to switch between our main and peripheral vision at will, without target fixating on anything. So, as you can see, our vision is a bit more complex than just look where you want to go. There is much more that we can do to make our riding better and safer. And now it's time to mention our sponsor, Ultramax Cell, a manufacturer of those high-tech looking base layers I usually use when riding a bike. I genuinely consider them the best choice for motorcycle riders, and not only because I'm getting paid. It's a sincere opinion. What makes Ultramax Cell thermal base layers so special? It's all about the material. A high-tech polypropylene fiber with a three-dimensional structure, which has a compression effect, ensuring the fabric fits snugly to the body, making this base layer work excellently over the entire surface of our body. And most importantly, thanks to this 3D honeycomb structure, the overall surface area of the material increases, which quickly wicks any moisture from our skin and quickly evaporates it. This means that in hot weather, with ventilated gear, we get more intensive evaporative cooling, and in cold weather, the honeycomb structure retains more air around our body, keeping us warm. So, compared to regular thermal clothing, Ultramax Cell is like regular thermal clothing compared to a simple cotton t-shirt. It's a very nice upgrade, I definitely recommend it. I will leave an Amazon link in the description along with their direct contact information. There is a high chance you will get a better deal if you contact them directly, depending on which country you live in. And that's it for today. We are not done with our little series yet, we still have to cover turning and braking in corners, so stay tuned, subscribe, ride safely and have a wonderful day. Bye!